Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're just going to do a show to show you what I have done. I've done a lot and I ain't even halfway there yet. This turned out to be more of a restore than it ended up being a build actually. So I just want to kind of show some of the stuff that I've got made and how I'm going about stuff. And yeah, this don't go to that. My truck needs these. I'm getting some exhaust leak in my truck, so I hope it ain't a cracked manifold. If it is, I'm screwed. But anyway, I'll show you everything I worked on and got together, starting with the motor. I'm using this for a bench also, apparently. So I've got the motor ready. The only thing that's left is the kill switch, and that won't be mounted until I get it, or it won't be hooked up until I get the frame done and the motor mounted down. I've got my switch here, my toggle switch that I'm going to use for a kill switch, and that's all I really need. And I'm going to also put a tachometer and mileage thing on it. I think that's a tachometer. Yeah, it's a tack. Because from what I understand, it's supposed to be 3,600 RPMs full throttle and 1,800 RPMs at idle. So these two wires right here come from the coil. They're connected to the same plug. They just wire together, and two different options. You got this one that goes to this thing down here for when you put the throttle all the way back, it cuts off. Well, I don't want to use that because this thing is really picky about its spot, and if you just want it to idle, it's so close that you can't hardly get it to idle. So I'm just going to run a switch. Got the new carburetor installed, and I did end up threading this, rethreading it for quarter 20, and it worked out fine because quarter 20 is bigger than 6mm by 1.0. I got the Lovejoy off of it and got it nice and slick, moving back and forth when I need it to. Redone the tank, and I got a shut off valve so I can shut the fuel off, and then your outlet, and then your screen or your bowl. It's going to get a little rust in it. I'm probably going to have to flush it, but I didn't want to flush it with fresh paint because it'll come back off really easy. And the worst thing that I wanted to do was the axle. So as you can see, I've got it clamped up there just to hold it for me while I worked on it. And we're going to make this one bolt in. So these plates here are going to weld. I'm going to weld them around here, around all the way around it. And then we're going to bolt them up to the frame under the H-beam where the other axle is. I've got it measured from here to the outer edge of the other one. It's exactly the same as the H-beam is, and that leaves that much of an overhang on it. Then I drilled holes there so that I can weld all that together, but I got to do some spacers on it. So we'll go to the other side and I'll show you what I'm doing. We got the cylinder painted, just waiting on it to dry. And here's the new spindles. These are the new spindles that I got that takes the 1 3/8 here and 1 inch here. Or, yeah, 1 1/16 I mean. So this was the only square tubing that I had. So I had to figure out a way to adapt it down. Well, a couple years ago, my buddy Dale gave me a wheelchair lift, and this was the size metal or box tubing that was there. So that fits in there, but I got to do a shim on 2 sides. And we're going to leave about a 1/4 inch overhang, and then once we've got it spot welded, then we'll come around here and weld a bead around this. And then, but we can't do that yet. We have to put it in here first. And that's a pretty snug fit. It's a good fit. I can weld all these up, but because I miscalculated how long this was going to be, I made mine 5 inches because I figured it was 5 inches. I've got these holes drilled in the wrong place. So I need to come up here in the middle and drill 2 more sets of holes. Drill straight through on this one, drill straight through on this one. I'm using 1/2 inch. I'm making 1/2 inch holes so I can get a good rod down in there and melt that in there. So then once this piece is made, then we'll put it in there and shim it, and it'll look just like that right there. And I'm using that hole right there at the edge of that hole as my guide. But you can't really go by that because that's going to be welded up. So we're just going to say a 1/4 inch or 3/8, something like that. And what we're going to use for shim is this stuff right here. So this here will slide right in there. Well, it did before. I got the wrong one. This one I cleaned up. That one's got rust on the edge of it. So this here, I'll make one of these the same length as this piece right here. And then we will weld it all together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build us an axle that bolts in. Now this, I'm not sure if I want to leave that out like that and weld around it, or if I want to just, it'd probably be best to do that, have a step down on both of them and weld around that. So just make sure that if you do this and you weld this, make sure you cover that really good with some aluminum or something, aluminum flashing, anything, wrap around it to protect that, because that's where your seal's going to be riding, and you want that to be as smooth as possible. You don't want no weld spots in it. So, but that's our plan. It's all mocked up. Now it's just ready for me to break into action. That will be the next video, I promise. Now, I've already showed you the cylinder. We've got it cleaned up and painted, and it's dry enough to touch now. So what I did with this clevis, I'm sorry about the darkness here. It's a little dark in here. What I did, since the threads was messed up on this, and I turned this to slide over what was there, I chamfered the back side of this on the inside to allow for that little shoulder that was created because they had a bad clevis on there just flopping around beating the hell out of it. So what I did was took 2 set screws and put in it, one on each side, top and the bottom, and I should have put them on the sides, but I wasn't thinking. Then I went and drilled the cylinder pin out and tapped it 1/4 20. So now when I go to put this on, I'll put this in the location where the set screws are in the pockets that I drilled in it, and then I'll snug these down, just snug, and then I'll take and tighten this down so that it's all the way seated against the cylinder shoulder. So this is what keeps the tension against the shoulder. And then these here set screws will tighten down after we tighten this down. This here should be a good solid clevis. I don't see any reason why that would be an issue. I used parts from the original. As you can see right there's where the threads used to be, and I just turned them around this way to give it some kind of a design. So then we've got the ram that I just got finished doing and cleaning up. I've got my plates on it. They're just loosely on there right now from a track. And this here I did with the grinder, and I messed up in 2 places. This right here is where I first started doing it, thinking I was going to just freehand it. Well, I did freehand that one, and it's crooked as a dog's hind leg. So then I got smart. I was already smart enough to do it, I was just too lazy to do it. So then I just took this and put on there. It's still tacky. And then I followed it with the grinder on the rest of them. The little short ones I didn't do that with, and as you can see, I screwed up on that short one. Coming back, I should have went forward both times, but I went forward and then I started coming back and I started walking off the line. Didn't realize it until I was almost through. So it's gonna have some battle scars before it gets started. And guess what we got? Remember the fenders I took apart to make my son's 4-wheeler mud flaps? Well, this is what was left over from it, and I knew that one day I was going to have a 2-axle trailer or something that was going to need fenders, and right here it is. We're going to make us a bracket back here that will mount that fender right about right there. Tread aluminum, diamond plate, however you want to put it, fenders. This is going to be the prettiest damn this is going to be the prettiest damn wood splitter you ever want to see. But the next thing that I need to do is clean up, get everything out of the way, get everything off of it. I got to take the wheels off of it. I got to take everything I can get off of it to get it down to where it don't weigh very much. Then I've got to maneuver it to where it's upside down. That ain't gonna be no fun, because this thing is not light. So I'm gonna have to remove the tongue. I'm gonna have to remove, or not the tongue, but the hitch part. I'm gonna have to remove the jack because I'm scared I'm gonna bend it, because this thing does weigh a lot, and if it gets away from me, I don't want it bending my jack. Because it's just a little old thin, probably ain't even 1/16 of an inch thick. Might be 1/8 inch, I doubt it. But I gotta get it upside down with the wheels off of it, and then I gotta start cutting all the welds off of the other axle. I do want to keep the axle. I'm just updating the axles. So the 4-lug wheels are a little harder to find than the 5-lug. 5 on 4.5 is usually the sawed out wheels and tires anyway, or wheels. So that's what we've got done so far. I got to put my logo on it somewhere. I was thinking about putting one here on the front, and maybe even one on the side. But if I put it on one side, I have to put it on both sides. Because it's going to be bison built. So, I think she's going to look pretty good. The frame's going to be gloss black. And it's just dollar store paint. But then you can't say, I can't go in and just say dollar store paint, because now it's like $6.95 or $5.95 a freaking can, when it used to be $2 a can. I can remember when you could go in and buy them for $1 a can. What are they doing different with it? I don't get it. So the cylinder, the motor cover, the tank, and the there's one other thing that's red. What the hell is it? The clevis. It'll be red. Oh, and the pump. I haven't decided whether I want it to be the same color as the pump, because both of them work together as a pair. So it'd be nice if they matched. And I'm wondering how blue would look up here once I'm done. It might look alright, because then it will match the pump. So I'm thinking I'm going to go blue with it. I was thinking about red, but I've already got a lot of red, so I don't want to overwhelm it with red. You got to break that stuff up. You can't have too much of one color. So I think I'm going to do it blue. Originally it was gray, but I didn't get no gray. I almost bought some today. I thought about doing gray, but I think I'd rather go blue. The wheels are going to be white. So we're going to have the red, white, and blue, black. Gotta have a little darkness in it, man. So I hope you guys enjoy what you see here. I'm just showing you what I've done. That's my goal, is to show my work. But we're going to do some work. I'm going to weld that up on video. So I just got to get all my shims and re-drill them holes. And once that's done, then I can go ahead and weld this thing up. So the next video you see, we will be welding a rear end. That's going to be a how to build a wood splitter rear end. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.